Because it might look bad to have videos on your channel saying my license got reprimanded. Is this the sort of stuff that therapists usually say to people who have like the crazy thinking where they think they're in a simulation? So, hey, I'm a psychiatrist. I'm a therapist. Your diagnosis seems wrong.
You know, what happens if someone comes on stream and then kills themselves or something like that? I mean,
what if? That would be terrible for him.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah. He did all that, and then he took it back the next week. Okay, let's look at this Dr. K stuff. Okay. So, Mr. Girl has won. Mr. Girl has won bigly. Yeah, well, you can do that now. This tweet went out earlier. Okay, so let's take a look. In 2022, when I first started streaming, I was horrified to learn about the exploitation of the vulnerable streamer Reckful by the psychiatrist Dr. K. Have we got the video? Not the full Reckless video, I just mean the more recent one. Where is it? I feel like we need it. Hello, Alok. That's the one. Just give us some context here. Give us the vibe. Yeah, that's one of Mr. Girl's Dr. K videos. So that's the point we're at now. Dr. K had launched his own streaming career in 2020 by doing regular therapy-like streams with Reckful, where they delved into Reckful's childhood trauma. Dr. K also created confusion about whether he was Reckful's friend or his doctor. In one disturbing exchange, he told Reckful he'd love him for 2 years in an attempt to cure Reckful's possible personality disorder, and then withdrew his offer a short while later. 3 months later, in July 2020, Reckful took his own life. Disturbed that streaming audiences and platforms such as Twitch viewed and still view Dr. K as a saintly mental health guru, I made a documentary about Dr. K's irresponsible relationship with Reckful, titled Reckless. I explained the ethical problems with their relationship and included interviews with a psychology ethics official, a doctor, that's Avi Bitterman, you know that guy, and a therapist, who all explained the totally absent proper boundaries of a therapist-client relationship. The video is fairly well received, even by Dr. K's own community. He replied to it with a defensive and evasive video titled Ethics, arguing that because he did not formally diagnose Reckful with a mental illness, he was therefore not acting as his doctor, despite literally telling Reckful he didn't know if he was his doctor or not. His audience seemed to mostly buy the argument that the lack of clarity somehow worked as a defense of Dr. K, and that he and Reckful were simply engaging in non-clinical conversations as friends. After posting my documentary to YouTube, from which I am banned, I reported Dr. K to the Massachusetts Board of Registration in Medicine, sending them a thumb drive containing his streams with Reckful and my documentary in the mail. As of June 2024, the board has finally taken action. Dr. K has been reprimanded for conduct that undermines the public confidence in the integrity of the medical profession, specifically for his relationship with Reckful. I don't know if this is the result of my complaint or another. It probably is his. As far as I understand, he put his in February 2022, and this one is cited February 2022, so it almost is, I would say definitely it's a complaint, but yeah. Just guessing. Not definitely guessing, it probably is his complaint. All throughout 2022, I maintained that Dr. K should, and hopefully would, lose his medical license for brazenly flouting ethics rules and laws in a case that ended in suicide. I still think he should lose his license, but a reprimand is better than nothing. So, let's pull up the full document, shall we? I'm sure the Massachusetts Board of Medicine cares what a nonce thinks. Well, they did. They just issued a reprimand on Dr. K. What do you mean? They obviously did care what a nonce thought. What do you mean, Al Shabs? How does that make any sense? They carried out a reprimand based on the word of Mr. Girl. Are you retarded? Well, okay, so evidence, Mr. Girl submitted... Wait, it wasn't his word. Sorry, he submitted evidence. You're right, it could have been another complaint in the same month. You're right. You're right. They don't care what he thinks, but he did submit a complaint. They don't care what anyone thinks. an ethics board, a board of registration of medicine, is not going to care what someone thinks. They will take a complaint. They're not going to sit there and go, oh, well, this complaint was sent in by Mr. Girl, the guy who makes videos about being a nonce on YouTube. Yo, thank you for the $20. Jesus. This guy's Mr. Girl. He makes videos about being a nonce on YouTube, so we're not going to listen to this report. That's not how it works. Slick Nick Mondo, thank you for the $20. That is absolutely huge. They will take a complaint. They will look at, I'll pay a $5 if you say I am a surgeon a bunch of times. I don't usually do the dancing monkey stuff. In fact, I'm not going to do it because I know you're trolling me. But I'm going to do it anyway because saying it's funny. I am a... Okay, no.
Food Shops super chatted $19.99. Max 1.
Wait, why is... I don't I ban you yesterday? I thought I banned that guy yesterday. Fuck. I'll do it for free. I am a surgeon. I am a surgeon. I am a surgeon. Growing up is realizing Mr. Girl is actually kind of based in his criticism of Destiny. Also, thank you for $20. Other Max. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Not Max, Mr. Girl. Max Food Shops. Yeah, an ethics board isn't going to give a fuck what any individual thinks. But if someone submits a complaint, they're not out there disregarding the complaints according to which, like, who has submitted it. They're going to take a look at the evidence, and if it's a justified complaint, they're going to issue a reprimand, like they have. So let's see. Pursuant to GLC 30A and 10... Oh, is that subsection? I don't know. Sorry about that. Alok M. Kanoja, MD, respondent, and the Board of Registration in Medicine Board, herein after referred to jointly as the parties. When are you going to go on Kick or Keep again? When there's another episode of Kick or Keep. If there's ever another episode. Which I doubt. Agree that the board may issue this consent order to resolve the above captioned adjudicatory proceeding. Parties further agree that this consent order will have all the force and effect of a final decision within the meaning of blah, 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 blah. The respondent admits to the findings of fact specified below and agrees that the board may make the conclusions of law and impose the sanction set forth below in resolution of investigative docket number 20296. Findings of fact. Okay. Respondent graduated from Tufts University of Medicine, 2014. Licensed practice. HealthyGamerGG is advertised as a mental health platform that provides content, coaching, and community resources to help young people take control of their mental health in their lives. The respondent further advertises that he brings the best of evidence-based psychiatry, complementary and alternative medicine, CAM, and his own understanding and experience as part of the internet generation to create a unique approach to mental health through HealthyGamerGG. HealthyGamerGG maintains live stream and video and archived video profiles on Twitch TV and YouTube. Twitch TV is a monetized streaming platform. Blah, 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 blah. Details of his channels. Okay. Respondent receives a salary from Healthy Gamer. Respondent introduced himself to HealthyGamerGG community as a Harvard-trained psychiatrist. Trained both at Massachusetts General Hospital and McLean Hospital. The respondent often wears a Harvard Medical School, a McLean Hospital emblazoned zip-up sweatshirt during his videos. Uh-huh. According to AMA ethical opinion, physicians who participate in the media can offer effective and accessible medical perspectives, leading to a healthier and better informed society. Al Shap saying, not the zip-up sweater. Al Shaps, if you asked most people who casually watch Dr. K where he went to school for medicine, what do you think they would say? However, ethical challenges present themselves when the worlds of medicine, journalism, and entertainment intersect. In the context of media marketplace, understanding the role as a physician before being distinct from a journalist, commentator, or media personality is imperative. Wait, he didn't go to Harvard? Is that a joke? No, he didn't go to Harvard. He's quote unquote Harvard trained, as in he trained at a hospital by like as part of Harvard or some shit. But no, he's Tufts University of Medicine. I'm not saying it's like crazy that you didn't know. I'm saying that I thought everyone around here did know. That it's bullshit that he went to Harvard. Okay. I knew Dr. K was a bit off when I heard him talk about AoE healing. Sir, like the video, sir. Sir, please. Sir, please like the video. Sir, please like the video, sir. Stop. No, why are you putting stuff like that in chat? Stop. Okay, right. Well, where were we? Sorry, you're throwing me off. Physicians involved in the media environment should be aware of their ethical obligations to patients, the public, and the medical profession, and that their conduct can affect their medical colleagues, other healthcare professionals, as well as institutions with which they are affiliated. They should also recognize that members of the audience might understand the unidirectional nature of the relationship and might think of themselves as patients. Physicians should always remember that they are physicians first and foremost, and must uphold the values, norms, and integrity of the medical profession. Encourage audience members to seek out qualified physicians to address the unique questions and concerns they have about their respective care when providing general medical advice. Be aware of how their medical training, qualifications, experience, and advice are being used by media forums and how this information is being communicated to the viewing public. Fully disclose any conflicts of interest and avoid situations that may lead to potential conflicts. Okay, that all seems pretty simple. Respondent conducts interview-style videos with various individuals, often gamers who also live stream. These interviews are live streamed on twitch.tv. 148 videos in the interview playlist. On or about December 4th, 2019, the respondent connected with acclaimed streamer Reckful and interviewed him for approximately 2 hours via a twitch.tv live stream. During this video, the respondent and Reckful engage in a conversation about depression, bipolar, suicide, and psilocybin. The respondent acknowledged that his colleagues worried that he could be sued if someone on his stream committed suicide. The respondent offered Reckful to reach out to him if he had thoughts of killing himself. On or about December 18th, 2019, the respondent and Reckful connected for a second live-streamed interview that lasted approximately 1 hour and 20 minutes. During this video, the respondent and Reckful engage in a conversation about Reckful's history with therapy. Yo, thank you for the membership. Thank you. Respondent suggested that he and Reckful meet every week for 4 to 8 weeks to address his loneliness. On or about January 11th, 2020, the respondent and Reckful connected for a third live-streamed interview that lasted over 2 hours. During this video, the respondent and Reckful engage in a conversation about depression, Reckful's brother's suicide, and psychedelics. On or about January 23rd, 2020, the respondent and Reckful connected for a fourth live-streamed interview that lasted approximately 1 hour and 15 minutes. During this video, the respondent and Reckful engaged in a conversation about borderline personality disorder. The respondent stated that he would try to love Reckful for 2 years. On or about January 29th, 2020, the respondent and Reckful connected for a fifth live-streamed interview that lasted approximately 1 hour and 50 minutes. During this video, the respondent and Reckful engaged in a conversation addressing their discussion from January 23rd, 2020. The respondent and Reckful discussed the bounds of their relationship and whether the respondent was Reckful's therapist or friend. The respondent acknowledged that his very bold claim about loving Reckful for 2 years was irresponsible. Later in this video, Reckful told the respondent that he remained conflicted about the status and definition of their relationship. On or about February 12th, 2020, the respondent and Reckful connected for a sixth and final live-streamed interview that lasted approximately 40 minutes. During this video, Reckful mentioned that he and the respondent would continue their conversations offline, off-stream. On or about June 30th, 2020, Reckful's friend engaged the respondent to discuss Reckful's declining mental health. During the conversations with Reckful and his friends, the respondent followed standard referral guidelines, including referrals for outpatient care, higher levels of care, and guidance around the use of emergency services. On July 2nd, 2020, Reckful died by suicide. Conclusions of law. The respondent has engaged in conduct that undermines the public confidence in the integrity of the medical profession. The Levy v. Board of Registration. Raymond v. Board of Registration Medicine. Okay. Sanction order. The respondent's license is hereby reprimanded. The sanctions imposed for each violation of law listed in the conclusion section, and not a combination of any or all of them. Execution of this consent order. Complaint counsel, respondent's counsel, and the respondent agree that the approval of this consent order is left to the discretion of the board. The signature of complaint counsel, respondent's counsel, and respondent are expressly conditioned on the board accepting this consent order. If the board rejects this consent order in whole or in part, then the entire document should be null and void. Therefore, thereafter, neither of the parties nor anyone else may rely on those stipulations in this proceeding. As to the matter in this consent order left to the discretion of the board, neither respondent nor anyone acting on behalf has received any promises or representations regarding the same. Respondent waives any right of appeal that he may have resulting from the board's acceptance of this consent order. The respondent should provide a complete copy of this consent order with all exhibits and attachment within 10 days by certified mail, return, receipt requested, or by hand delivery to the following designated entities. Okay, yep. Respondent has privileges or any other kind of association. All right, yeah. Okay, where's the... Okay, so there's no... I mean, what are these cases? Levy v. Board of Registration. What's the... I need a... Where's the TLDR on this? Okay, the Levy one is about false data or something. I don't know. It's something to do with a guy who owned nursing home. So maybe that's something to do with his Healthy Gamer stuff. Raymond v. Board Registration. Yeah, these seem pretty generic. It doesn't seem like we can get anything about what exactly they thought he did wrong from those cases. Not a whole lot there. Okay. Yeah. It's basically the board has the authority to revoke or suspend a license when a serious crime happens. Yeah, it's generic stuff. It's not helpful. Right, we've got a post on the Dr. K subreddit to go over, though. Okay. Important update on board complaint. Hey, y'all. We wanted to update the Healthy Gamer community on the board complaint filed against Dr. Kanoja in February of 2022. Far before this complaint was filed, we took self-corrective actions to address the most problematic aspects of guest interviews while still allowing for meaningful discussions around mental health. It continues to be an honor and a privilege to be able to do this work at scale and encourage thousands of people every day to take action towards better mental health. We're still learning and growing, too. Thank you for everything you've contributed towards making Healthy Gamer a force for good on the internet. Dr. Knoja's license has been reprimanded. While this is a disciplinary action, it does not come with any fines, penalties, or limitations to Dr. Knoja's ability to practice medicine. No suspension, probation, or other restrictions. It also does not alter Dr. Knoja's involvement with Healthy Gamer. Upon asking, the board did not require removal or alteration of any of the content, correspondence with previous guests, or anything specifically related to Healthy Gamer. Out of respect for Reckful, Dr. Knoja has opted to keep things private and work with the board instead of engaging in public discussions. Yeah? Is that why, out of respect for Reckful, not because he doesn't want to make a big deal out of it in public? Because it might look bad to have videos on your channel saying my license got reprimanded. Okay. Though the initial complaint was more limited, Dr. Kanoja asked to expand the scope for all interviews and for his role during Reckful's acute phases. The board found that Dr. Kanoja acted within standard referral guidelines, including referrals for outpatient care, higher levels of care, and guidance around the use of emergency services. In private conversations with Reckful and his friends, the board found that the interviews with Reckful constitute conduct that undermines public confidence in the integrity of the medical profession. The nature of healthy gamer interviews have been contentious for a long time. The interviews with Reckful started in 2019. Before this complaint was filed in 2022, we'd already taken steps to change how we did interviews. Over the past 5 years, we've formalized a process which includes scheduling interviews in advance to A. Avoid spur-of-the-moment comments, B. Allow guests to formulate what they want to talk about, and C. Privately back out. Offering guests a boundary-setting call before the interview to specify off-limits topics. Sometimes at this step, one or both party determine the interview is too sensitive and it is cancelled or postponed. Always giving guests the right to have their interviews removed. This has been requested twice, and we've, of course, complied both times. We've established a scientific advisory board that advises on policy/procedures for content coaching and other core activities. We understand and respect the board's decision and thank them for their thorough and fair assessments for 2 years. So yeah, it's a like slap on the wrist, like just a disavow. But it does obviously it throws cold water on some of the retarded shit Dr. K fans will say. Where they act like there's absolutely there's no like obligation as a medical professional. Like, oh, he's just having conversations. He's just having beneficial conversations. What's wrong with that? What's wrong? What's the problem? What's the problem? He can't help people now. Oh, so you think therapists can't help people? Oh, okay, I see. So yeah, okay, I see. Therapists can't help people. Okay, you just want people to die and kill themselves. That's what they say. This is showing pretty clearly. No, you can't just say it's not that. You can't just like make a slight pay lip service to the idea that it's not therapy and then just get away with any behavior possible that you can, that you feel like. Because Dr. K fans are especially retarded. Obviously, all the complaints, it's not, none of it is like, oh yeah, Dr. K fucked up here. It sounds like Dr. K fucked up. It's all, I can't believe the ethics board have done this. I'm really disappointed in the ethics board. It's like so retarded. Let's pull up, Mr. Girls just released an article. A victory for therapy ethics. Let's see, what's he got to say? Dr. K has been reprimanded by the Massachusetts Medical Board. For those of you who don't know, in 2022, when I first started streaming, I was horrified to learn about the exploitation of the vulnerable streamer Reckful by the psychiatrist Dr. K of the HealthyGamerGG. Dr. K had launched his own streaming career in 2020 by doing regular therapy-like streams with Reckful, where they delved deep into Reckful's childhood trauma. In these conversations, Dr. K created confusion about whether he was Reckful's doctor or merely his friend. In one disturbing exchange, he told Reckful he'd loved him for 2 years in an attempt to cure Reckful's possible BPD, but then quickly withdrew his offer and acknowledged it had been inappropriate. A few months later, in July 2020, Reckful took his own life. Disturbed that streaming audiences such as Twitch viewed and still view Dr. K as a saintly mental health guru, I made a documentary about Dr. K's irresponsible relationship with Reckful titled Dr. K Reckless. I explained the ethical problems with their relationship and included interviews with the vice chair of the Oregon Board of Psychology, a doctor, Avi Bitterman, who is active on social media, and a therapist, who all helped explain the proper boundaries of an ethical therapist-client relationship.
Have you seen the new stream by Harvard psychiatrist Dr. Kanoja? It's really cool. He helps gamers on stream.
Oh, this is just the documentary.
I'd love to see you have a conversation with him. He's starting nowish. Yeah, I would talk to him. That sounds interesting. Should I try to talk to him right now?
Who is Reckful?
Oh, shit.
Yeah, sure. We can talk to Reckful. So tell me, what are we talking about today, buddy?
Well,
am I calling you Reckful?
You can call me Byron if you want.
What do you?
But yeah, I've dealt with depression my whole life, pretty much. I mean, since I was like 14, and I'm 30 now.
Okay.
And a bunch of people in my chat were telling me I should call you.
Okay.
So here I am.
Yeah. By the way, so a couple of ground rules. So I'm a psychiatrist, but I can't treat your depression over the internet.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Gotcha. And then the other thing is, I tend to ask a lot of questions. If there's anything that you don't feel comfortable answering, just don't answer it, and just let me know.
Okay.
So tell me, what do you mean by depression? Let's start there.
Well, I've been diagnosed with bipolar type 2. And when I was 6, my brother killed himself. He also had it.
How old was he?
He was 21. It's a very big age gap.
Okay.
And then because of that, when I've gone to get treated, they never give me SSRIs. I've never tried an SSRI because he's tried an SSRI, and then that happened after.
Okay. So let me ask you. Okay, we're going to get weird, Reckful. Do you believe that life? What do you think of? What's your sense of like what life is?
I'm an organism that came to be from 2 other organisms who liked each other enough to
have a
baby.
Yeah. So what does that mean? Like, what do you think about your life? Like, do you feel like your life has purpose?
Most of the time, no. But recently, I've started to think yes, because I realize I can start trying to help other people who have had my same problems, so I relate to them. And then I hope by making this game I'm working on that they can find friendship and a sense of community. Because I'm making an MMO.
Reality actually exists as a probability. Like, reality is not static, in that the act of observation causes a probability to collapse into a reality. So that like the world exists as a probability waveform, and when you observe something, that probability disappears and it becomes a reality. When you're
Is this the sort of stuff that therapists usually say to people who have like the crazy thinking where they think they're in a simulation? Is this usually the route people take?
Depression acts up, and I want you to understand that depression is like a pattern of thinking within your mind. It takes the things that you know and distorts them. So it takes the fact, it hijacks this idea that you know that the world is like not a real place in some sense. And then it sort of makes you feel like there's no purpose because nothing is real. But
it's what Dr. Keemstar of David said to Etika, so yes.
Let's talk a little bit more about depression today. So tell me what your experience of depression is.
Okay, it's very hard to explain. The easiest way to explain is I've had...
It's the sort of shit that Lex Friedman would say to you after smoking weed. It is Joe Rogan epistemology. That's what it is. It's Joe Rogan epistemology. Whoa, like the world could like be a simulation. It's like quantum theory says that, like, you know, when you look at something, it's like that's when it becomes certain. Like, it's just chance before then. Like, you have to look at something for it to become certain. So, like, when you think about it, like, the world may not even exist. There's just, like, a chance it exists, and it only becomes certain when you open your eyes, man. Like, you just need to eat raw meat and maybe understand. Like, that's, like, literally the level of thinking it is.
Years of my life like this, where I wake up every day, and I don't see a purpose to doing anything. Okay. I don't see a purpose to getting out of bed. I don't care if I stream or don't, or if I go eat or don't. At some point I get really hungry and I'm like, okay, I guess I have, like, I feel like it forces me to, kind of, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't really care one way or the other. And then I start to think I don't care if when I go to sleep, I don't care if I wake up. I'd prefer not to. Actually, the sleeping was the most peaceful part of my day.
Okay. And how long would this stretch last?
Years.
Okay. So I think this is a really common misconception. I think you may have clinical depression, but I think what you're describing is not clinical depression.
Jamie, pull up the clip of the chimpanzee who tried SSRIs.
So I'm going to explain to you guys what clinical depression is. I think your problem is that your life is empty. That's different. And in fact, that's what we were going to talk to the other person about today, and we will. So I got a bunch of questions about this because...
Wait, so you're saying you think I was diagnosed incorrectly when they said I have bipolar?
You may have depression on top of that, but what I want you to understand is that, like, there are different flavors of depression. One of them is a biological, organic, neurochemical kind of thing. And what I'm hearing from... but there are certain features of that you don't really fit that bill. So I'm going to describe what that is. So you may be depressed on top of being unhappy or having a life without purpose. But those are two independent things. So tell me a little bit about, so it doesn't sound like, I'm not hearing anything about depression when you were in high school. You said 14, but you're not describing anything to me that.
Oh, yeah, no, because it's hard for me to really dig deep and remember. I mean, I remember I listened to a lot of sad music. I was idolizing a lot of people who killed.
Okay,
I was idolizing a lot of people who.
It's not 3 minutes and it is edited, but yeah, like the idea that Dr. K's just met this guy suggesting that the diagnosis is wrong and that it's just so fucked. It's just so fucked. This does not feel responsible in any way. I'm a fucking retard. I'm a layman. This does not feel responsible in any way. You just start going like, you've just met this guy. Hey, I'm a psychiatrist. I'm a therapist. Your diagnosis seems wrong. Also, reality may not exist.
Who killed themselves?
Okay.
At the time, because I was listening to like Nirvana and then Elliott Smith and then I don't know, a bunch of other. I can't remember, but
I mean, it sounds like you were emo.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, I know. I was. But the lyrics were very relatable to me.
I'm kind of digging around. And you're not expected, like, I don't remember much about when I was 14. Like, you know, people don't really remember much about when they're 14. And that's okay. It's just, I'm trying to figure out where the money is. And it's sounding like it's
okay. So when I was 16, I tried to kill myself.
Okay.
So when I was 16, I took 22 sleeping pills and I drank a bottle of wine and I tied a plastic bag over my head and I fell asleep and I just woke up later. And I had ripped the bag off my head, and I was alive. And what were you gonna ask?
Do you remember what you were feeling when you tried to kill yourself?
It was really dumb. There was a game I was playing called Asheron's Call from when I was 10. It started dying because of World of Warcraft, and no one else was on to play anymore. And I felt like the only thing I cared about and the only thing I'd practiced my whole life and really loved was irrelevant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. I mean, not great, but I think I'm starting to see a pattern. Okay. And why are you finding purpose again? What do you like about what you're doing?
I like that I'm trying to give people something I wanted as a kid.
Who's the focus on? Who are you thinking about?
Dude, I think, like, I'm sorry, but I'm just looking through this on my other monitor. Sorry, we're getting distracted. Brief distraction. I'm sorry, but this might be retarded. I literally... So Beckett or Jenny, one of the two, has put out this Twitter thread tracking all the people who have ever interacted with Shadman. I'm pretty sure this isn't even Shadman. He's tagged Shadbase here. Pretty sure this is just someone cosplaying him. How tall is this guy? Most of the people cosplaying Shadman, that's never actually Shadman. He doesn't look like... His build is not like this. His build is nothing like this. His skin is darker than this. What Shadman look like again? Let me pull up a picture. So here you can see, here's a comparison. Here's a Shadman cosplayer, okay? And here's the real Shadman. You'll notice there's a little bit of a difference here. If you just check out the build, you'll notice there's a little bit of a difference here. Like, so I don't even know if, like, I don't believe that's Shad. That doesn't make any sense to me. Maybe Shad was there and this was just a different guy who was cosplaying him and he did spend time with Shadman. I don't know, but that's not him. Anyway, whatever.
Just people haven't experienced what I did.
Yeah. So I'll tell you, Reckful. Listen carefully now. Your depression, you're trying to cure the depression that is growing within kids out there today. You're trying to protect them from what happened to you.
Yeah.
How does that feel?
Yeah, let's go rewatch this doc. We're going to watch some of it.
Feels meaningful, yeah.
Good is an understatement. It's the understatement of the fucking year. It is vital. It is crucial. You must do this thing.
Yeah, I agree with you, yeah.
Yeah. So I started streaming about 2.5 months ago. And, you know, was advised against doing that by a lot of people in, like, many of my colleagues and stuff like that because, I can get sued and all that good stuff and talk to attorneys and things like that. So hopefully I don't get sued because I'm not really delivering medical care. But, you know, what happens if someone comes on stream and then kills themselves or something like that? I mean,
what if? That would be terrible for him.
You know, I think at the end of...
I'll try not to kill myself anytime soon for you.
Yeah, thank
you. You know, my biggest fear is that someone who goes on Dr. K's stream for a not therapy session will ultimately kill themselves. And it'll make it harder for Dr. K to deliver his not therapy services to the people who need it most. That's my biggest fear.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm serious. I think that's
important. Yeah, no problem. I haven't thought about killing myself since psilocybin, I think.
Yeah. I believe that. If you do happen to have those thoughts again, feel free to reach out. You have my Discord.
APA commentary on ethics in practice. The ethical and professional basis of the physician-patient relationship. The physician-patient relationship is a
Why does his voice sound so weird?
collaborative endeavor between two autonomous individuals who establish the professional relationship for the benefit of the patient. Every effort should be made to have the relationship begin by mutual consent. Psychiatrists should be cautious in interactions with persons who are not, or not yet, patients to avoid rendering input, advice, or other suggestions that might lead to the assumption or expectation that a treatment relationship has begun.
I believe that that kind of relationship starts off right in the beginning with what I call a contract. And a contract is establishing what we're going to do, where we're going to do it, and why we're going to do it. And to do that, it means that the individual is saying to the therapist, this is what I need, this is what I'd like to have. And the therapist says, this is what I can provide. And if that's a contract, we can go. They may want the therapist to fix the problem. They may want advice. They may want pain relief. And those are not essentially aspects of therapy. Therapy is to hold up a mirror to the client and have them see themselves and then consider options for parts of their life that they would like to change. It is the job of the therapist to be crystal clear and to have their boundaries established. And the one thing that is paramount with therapists and professionals is to do no harm. Many people come in and they are not clear on boundaries. They're not clear on maybe exactly what they need, and that needs to be worked out in the process. If you provide confusion to the client...
Okay, yeah, I'm going to skip these parts. I just want to see the...
About they might
I think we get the idea that you know, the medical board or ethics board has basically validated a lot of stuff that's probably being said there. So let's just skip the assessments.
And you don't have a doctor-patient relationship. And one day someone is going to kill themselves and their family is going to sue you because you were pretending to be a doctor. They said that this would be easier if you actually weren't a medical professional because you have a license and you have obligations. But if I don't do it, who is?
So yeah, my biggest fear is that one of his patients will kill themselves to make it harder for him to do the work he truly needs to be doing, giving not therapy sessions to schizophrenic gamers online.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, it's Friday on November 15th, 4:23.
The documentary is like Dead Poets Society, except the teacher is Martin Shkreli.
And, like, you're stuck. If I don't talk to you right now, Joro, who's going to talk to you? Like, it's me. Right. That's it. So let's say that for a moment that I'm doing therapy on Twitch. So there's like an ethical concern with that, right? Because, like, you know, I'm talking with people publicly. And so if I'm a doctor and we say that there's an ethical issue there, then that means that I'm not allowed to stream on Twitch, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So then, like, if someone wants to offer life advice or wants to help people on Twitch, what we're essentially saying is that the more qualified you are, the less we are going to allow you to do that.
That sucks.
Right? Yep. It's interesting. When you say that clinicians, I mean, you know, licensed professionals are trained. So what we're really trained in that the average, you know, internet guru is not is clinical illness. So if you look at, like, literally the, you know, American Psychiatric Association's definition of therapy, it's like, you know, an intervention that is designed to help someone with a clinical illness, to treat depression, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, addictions, things
like that.
It was the
Massachusetts Medical Board, I believe.
So I think I know that what I do looks and feels like therapy to some people. Probably overlaps at some, but I don't think that that's, I think the real thing that, you know, and that's because you guys just haven't seen me do therapy. Like, if you saw me do therapy, you'd understand the difference. And people who have come into my office before understand the difference. There's a longitudinal relationship. There are usually diagnoses involved. There are treatments involved. I don't treat anything. I don't diagnose anything. And some people may feel like that's a technicality, like I'm skirting that, but really it's not.
I also don't think it's possible to have a real mental health therapy session on camera. I could never open up to you on camera the same way I could open up to you as if we had a private relationship as patient and therapist. Right. So like, I think some people, it's hard for them to understand that, but like anytime you put a camera on somebody, they will change.
How does a camera change? Wait, hold on. I was going to ask you a question about how a camera changes you, but it occurred to me that that is outside of the two topics that we had discussed. Are you okay if I ask you that?
Sure, yeah.
How does a camera change you?
So is the majority of what you're doing still direct one-on-one type of therapy, basically, and then using that as an example for how other people can follow it? Or are you doing more?
Yeah, so I think so. First of all, to be clear, it's not therapy, and I can't dispense medical advice over the internet.
Yeah.
But so I think what I do is just talk to people. So, well, just to be clear, this is not therapy.
Sure.
Right. We're just chatting. This is just chatting on Twitch.
Yes, this is just chatting. It's not therapy.
So
it's just like the thin veneer of not therapy. It's so sickening, man. It's so ill.
I just want to. So in a lot of ways, Sky, it seems like you've grown and you've moved past.
How do people? I just don't get how people defend it.
Confident in the person that you are. Just to be clear, though, you know, this is not therapy, and you understand that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about what you mean by depression or anxiety. So what can I help you with?
I was wondering if you knew where to go next.
Fantastic.
From my point of view. Yeah.
Okay. That I can certainly help you with. So when William tells us that he is an 8-year-old boy who is screaming at his mom to stop and banging his head against a wall, and she continues to yell at him for an hour and a half, and that shit happens day after day after day after day, that is a whole different ballgame from being like shot once or being robbed or being raped or whatever. That's complex PTSD. Okay? So now let's think about what are the treatments of complex PTSD. And if you've got a real flaming weebo who's got a relationship and wants to come on stream, because you're like halfway past all this shit already, man. It's disappointing. Like we were looking for a real.
I hope chat doesn't feel debated yet again.
Yeah, they were debated, man. You bathe and you work out and you're making a career change and you take care of yourself.
I overheard him talking to his friend. I don't know, I was like 12, that he told his friend that he wanted to kill himself. It was weird to hear my dad say that. Yeah.
Reckful, do you have a therapist?
I've gone to therapy a few times, but I've never saw it as useful enough to keep going. This time I do. Well, okay, this is not therapy. But you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it wasn't.
So, okay, so look, man. So this is what we got to do. So I think this is way more longitudinal. Like, so there's something. This is way more longitudinal, right? So I think we have to we got to figure something out. So either you need to talk to someone about this because you understand things that you didn't understand before, or like I can't do one-offs. Like we can do one-offs about meditation and random shit, but if you really want to get into this, if you want to get into loneliness, we got to do it like in like we got to do it sequentially. Like we got to do it.
I'm fine with that.
We got to like do it. Get started. Yeah. So let me just think about that. It doesn't have to be online. But if you want to do it online, that's fine. But then I think we have to do it consistently. And
how consistently?
I would say probably every week for like 4 to 8 weeks.
That's not that long.
I mean, it's not that long, but it's.
I'm willing to do that. If you are.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm willing to do it because I mean, I think, let me just think about it. Let's figure out how to do this. You just sleep on it, and then you let me know like tomorrow or like whenever you want to let me know. Okay. So I'll message you.
We need to do more sessions. Yes, please. Stop my bipolar lows. Okay, well, it's not therapy. Oh, man. Except it's not even that, is it? It's like, yeah, sure, we'll fix your bipolar lows. I'll love you for the next 2 years. 5 minutes later. I may have gotten a bit ahead of myself when I made all those promises.
We'll figure it out. Let's do like maybe January 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. Like sometime in like the second week of January. Okay. And then we'll do like...
I gotta survive a long time on my own. I got this.
Please,
yeah, I mean, you can I can talk to you in between that. I just won't be streaming.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. You can just message me, dude. Just message me. Okay. All right. Strong work, Reckful.
Topher, you're wrong. You're wrong. Dr. K fans are rabid and widespread. You are incorrect. Bug was just posting earlier. The like/dislike ratio on my last Dr. K video. They are rampant.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks. This reminds me, I wanted to share with you, because I thought of this. My dad wrote a book. He actually wrote several. But in the book, he had a fictional character who was based on himself. Had a different profession, but the same backstory with my brother who, his kid who committed suicide. And then he wrote the actual experience of what it felt like for him when my brother committed suicide. And I wanted
Well, not swear that is giving up on being like any kind of therapist or anything, right? I think. At least in terms of streaming. She wants to do stuff like she wants to do like interview content. She wants to be like an interviewer. Yeah, she is Destiny's cockwash, but she wants to be an interviewer. And the goal is to, what does she say? She wants to use her streaming money to open up like a ranch for incels. Like Neverland Ranch for incels. Yes, Fargo. Yes, you know. Because that's literally what she said, basically. That was her plan. She wanted to open up like a big ranch for like incels, to counsel incels. Where you... This is just further proof that therapy only exists to try and rape you. Not so erudite will make sure that nobody leaves there an incel. Okay, let's stop.
To read it to you.
Sure.
Thought maybe. Yeah.
Please.
And when I was 16, I actually edited the book for my dad. So I read it all the way through back then.
Huh.
Because he didn't get an editor. I wasn't very good at editing. I can actually do it much better now. While I'm reading it, I would want to change some words around. Anyway.
Just read it.
My son had been suffering from a severe depression for several months, and I did sometimes fear the worst. So when my wife called me at work on that evening and said that his room was locked and he wouldn't respond to calling his name and knocking on the door, death immediately reared in my mind, and my heart palpitated with a pang. I shouted, "My son is dead," and I started sobbing savagely.
18 naked incels at Trap Ranch. Okay, stop. Look, I think we've seen enough. We got through like what, 25 minutes. I think you get the gist here. Okay, we all see how sickening this is. That's enough for a segment. I think maybe we're skipping a little bit extra.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I'm going to just talk a little bit about borderline personality disorder because I think that there's some features of it which are relevant.
Yeah.
And also like some very interesting data that some people don't know. So the first is that borderline personality disorder, a lot of times these people have a fear of abandonment. Okay. And so they get overly clingy. And as they get overly clingy, they sort of like force people away. And then it kind of like reinforces their fear that like they're unlovable.
Yeah.
And then that sort of, and each round makes it worse because once you do it to the first person, your sense of being unlovable increases. And then when you interact with the next human being, like that that wolf has become hungrier. And so when they sort of treat you well, they feel really good about themselves. And when the person starts to like kind of slip away, it gets like stronger and stronger and stronger. And each round is like becomes, as you put it, a self-fulfilling prophecy and makes it harder.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what many people don't know about BPD is that BPD, there's actually some very interesting data. So a lot of people think of BPD as being incurable. But there's some really fascinating data that if you can get in a stable relationship for 2 years and have someone not abandon you, then there's a 50% chance your BPD will...
Wait, both Reservoir and Tom are doing Tom 10 tonight. Why? Dude, I'm so glad. I'm so happy to have... I got out of Tom Tent at the right moment. I really did. It's sad. It's getting sad. It's getting very sad. I liked my 5-minute appearance on Reservoir stream last night. We might do a Tom Tent catch-up at some point, okay? We might just catch up on some of it. I went on, okay. Right, Bucket. Let's just finish the article and I'll talk about this.
Will, like, actually go away. So it's really fascinating. And I
so
think
it's the opposite of you shouldn't get in a relationship until you're stable on your own.
Yeah, and I think that's what you need. You need someone in your life who's not going to turn away for a period of at least 2 years, and you may be terrified that they'll turn away at 2.5.
Right. I might never get it. I mean, there's no guarantee I will, but I'll look for it. Yeah.
Yeah. So sure, there is.
I would not say so.
There's only one way.
I've gotten in some really unhealthy situations because I'm so desperate for human interaction that I'll have, paid people's rent just so they'd be my roommate. So I'd have someone around, Done it a few times. Just a lot of dumb things like that, or try to get them to quit their jobs and like give them a new job that requires less time so I could have a friend. And then obviously I've realized that these things are unhealthy, but I was just in desperate situations where I needed human interaction.
So Reckful, I'm confident I'm confident that there's going to be someone around in your life who will be there for you most of the time when you need them, hopefully, for at least a period of 2 years.
Okay.
How can I be confident in that?
How can you be confident?
Yeah.
Well, you find me stimulating to talk to, and I'm not demanding too much of your time or spamming you with walls of text. And even if I were, you'd feel inclined to answer me because it's you love helping people. it's your passion. So from your perspective, maybe you can feel confident, but then if you put yourself in the shoes of any other human being, I don't know that they'll really spend 2 years with me unless there's...
So Reckful, I'm not counting on them to spend 2 years with you.
What are you counting on?
I'm counting on myself. It's the
only that you'll spend 2 years
Jesus,
with me. Yeah, that I believe. That I can believe.
So I can't trust any of them.
True.
So I'm going to try
to
love you.
It's nice having someone to come to every week like this.
I'm going to try to love you for 2 years at a minimum.
I really appreciate it.
So this is the other thing is that I do helping people, but I also like helping you. And I want you to understand this, Reckful. I'm not even helping you. Like, this isn't help. I don't like the phrase help. Help implies like charity, right? It implies that you have something and that you have nothing and I have something and I'm like helping you. I'm not helping you. This is just me being human and you being human. I don't know if that makes any sense. I think it's one of the hardest concepts.
What do you mean by human?
It's just like, we're just being us, man. It's not something fancy.
You're doing what you enjoy.
It's not about enjoy. It's I'm being who I am and you are being who you are. And that's the most that we can expect of ourselves.
I want to update the viewers on what happened off stream because they missed one therapy session that isn't therapy.
It's not therapy, right? So yeah, that's actually what we talked about, right? So I think my impression was we were talking about clarifying what our relationship is, and whether this is therapy or this isn't therapy, and what our options are in terms of how to form a relationship. And I think that, the last time we talked on stream, we had a conversation about abandonment, and then I made a very bold claim because I got emotional as well. And I felt like I wanted to be there for you so that you no longer felt this way. And I think sometimes what happens amongst people is that they have different kinds of complexes, and I have them too. And one of the things that happens with me is when I see someone hurting, I want to make them better. And sometimes I will, in that moment, say whatever I think I can to make them feel better, but sometimes that's irresponsible. And I think in a sense it was irresponsible, but I think from our perspective, we're trying to understand, like, what is this for you? What is this for me? What are we doing on Twitch? This is like kind of a new thing. And I think a common perception is that if you're talking about feelings with someone, then that is therapy. But I think we can kind of say, like, so Reckful also shared with me that he had a great conversation for several hours with Pokimane. Am I saying that right now?
So yeah, he did all that, and then he took it back the next week. The documentary was fairly well received, even by Dr. K's own community. He replied to it with a very defensive and evasive video titled Ethics, arguing that because he did not formally diagnose Reckful with a mental illness, he was therefore not acting as his doctor, despite literally telling Reckful he didn't know if he was his doctor or not. His audience seemed to buy the argument that lack of clarity in his relationship with Reckful somehow worked as a defense of Dr. K, and that the two were simply engaging in non-clinical conversations as friends. After posting my documentary to YouTube, from which I am banned, I reported Dr. K to the Massachusetts Board of Registration of Medicine, sending them a thumb drive containing his streams with Reckful and my documentary in the mail. As of June 2024, the board has finally taken action. Dr. K has been reprimanded for conduct that undermines public confidence in the integrity of the medical profession. Here's a shitty PR response, which confirms that the reprimand was the result of my complaint filed in 2022. All throughout 2022, I maintained that Dr. K should, and hopefully would, lose his medical license for brazenly flouting ethical rules and laws in a case that ended in suicide. I still think he should lose his license, but a reprimand is better than nothing. Wow. Okay. That's probably enough for a Dr. K segment. So I can farm Dr. K fans. Okay. Right.